Hello, welcome to Leo's Coffee Kit, the lazy afternoon brew. Yesterday, or whenever it was that you actually watched, you saw my everyday V60. Today, we're going to be talking about the Mocha Pot. Now, this is a classic Italian. Bialetti do the standard. I have blogged about it. This is not a Bialetti because we saw them in Bologna and they were super expensive. This is from a discount store called Max, and I think it was a £5. So yeah, I think for a £5 you can get a replacement Bialetti handle. Not much of a choice there really. Anyway, classic Mocha Pot design. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure out the amount of beans I need, and I'm then just going to go and grind them. So if you want to go and see what sort of a grinder I use, watch the other video. So here's our beans freshly ground. I've not filled it to the brim, as you can see, because realised halfway through grinding they will expand as the hot water goes through them, so it's about half full. And so now on to assembly, for want of a better description. So I'm not just going to chuck this in the Mocha Pot. I've got the lower half and I want to fill this up and up to the valve, which you can see as the wee bit on the side, which obviously is where all the steam escapes from. So there we go, and away we go. Now, the more eagle-eyed or observant of you, same thing really, will notice that this is not a gas, but an electric stove. And that's what we have in the hob through in the kitchen as well. I will admit that when I got this, there was a degree of, these are usually stuck over a gas stove. Will this work? Answer, yes. Yes it does. It's a source of heat. It's all it needs. But there was a degree of anticipation or anxiety, because it's the, well hang on, this is the heat being directly applied. Then sort of thought about it, it's like, well, all you've got is it with a gas is it being suspended above a flame. This is directly in contact with heat, but this cools down a lot quicker once it's turned off, so it works. That's the main thing. Classic design such as it is, so you've got the spout at the top with holes at the side, which is really good and all because it means that you can see what's happening. Downside to this design is that it means that when it starts to actually brew, which hopefully we will see soon, it tends to go blah, 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 everywhere, which is a bit of a faff. Now my folks have a design which is really cool, because instead of it still has the same spout, but literally it just has a cap on the top, and there's sort of wee notches poked in at the, there we go, at the sides of the tube, so that the coffee hits the top of the cap and then just gently flows down the sides. But that's also a very pricey one, and like I say, I just wanted a traditional Mocha Pot because they're really cool. I know that in the previous video we talked about reducing the number of coffee makers that I have, but this is the classic coffee maker, so to speak, and it would have been nice to get the Bialetti, but also it riffs on the other sort of things that have, like the classic espresso machines. Okay, that works the other way in that coffee is forced through, water is forced through the coffee down into the cup, whereas with this the rising heat forces the water up through. And I also used to have a percolator a julep one, which Ivy really liked because it made the weirdest noises. So basically it looked like a kettle, and it was kind of the same, except you had this long stem which went onto a basket which held the coffee, and the hot water went up through that, filtered through, and it then, the coffee water, so to speak, went down into the main thing, so you poured it out. It was a bit weird. But anyway, when you turned it on, it would bubble away and it would be going pew! And every time I turned it on, Ivy would just sort of start going pew at me. Or if she didn't realise that I'd put it on, she would hear it and just sort of look up at me, and then there would be the pew noise, and she'd just giggle at me. As you may have guessed, we find silly stuff funny, and we just laugh about it, and yeah, why wouldn't we? I mean, life's too short. Yeah, so why I did have an espresso machine. It was a lovely piece of kit, an Alessi one, obviously, because, well, Alessi. And it had a built-in grinder, and it was fantastic, but it was a pig. It had a design flaw in that you switched it on and it just kept making coffee until it ran out of water, so you had to stand over it. And as you may have guessed by my comments and what I said about making my daily coffee with the V60, I'm very much a oh, wait a minute, we're starting to bubble. I'm very much a pour, walk away, leave. So the Alessi lived in a cupboard for a year, and it was then the realisation of, hang on, I have not used this for a year, let's get shot of it. So that's what happened with that. With the percolator, oh, here we go. Now, just when this starts to get about halfway, I'm going to close the cover, because otherwise it will just start to go spit and billow everywhere. But yeah, with the percolator, the percolator was really, well, I was really bad with the percolator for basically just making coffee, leaving it, forgetting about it, and then the coffee would be caked in and it would be a pig to clean, and yeah, it kind of was starting to show its age. So that's why that was didn't make the cut, shall we say. But yeah, so here we go. It sounds like things are just bubbling away merrily here. So I'm just going to take this off. I've already poured my almond milk on. And oh, as we can see, this is a lovely pourer because everything's hissing and spitting. So let's try this again over a tea towel. Although I know that you can't smell this, but I can now smell the coffee that's been burnt on the stove. And that's really nice. I like that. So yeah, I've forgotten what the Italians say when they have a coffee, but cheers. And I know it's not an espresso, but oops.